What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another beautiful day in the high desert. I am Corey, and we are His and Herbs, and we're just some small time, soon to be big time gardeners growing food in the high deserts of Southern California. All right, guys, so we're out here. Like I said, it's another beautiful day. It was really overcast earlier today, and then now, the clouds went away. It's like not a cloud in the sky. Look at there, not a cloud in the sky, and it was super overcast earlier, which made it really comfortable to be out here. And right now, it's just as comfortable, even though the sun is out, because we got a nice breeze, and it just feels really good. So right now, what I'm going to be doing out here today at this moment is I'm going to be working on some mulch. I'm going to be mulching the garden, and I feel like it's important for me to talk about mulching right now, especially for the new gardeners, to talk about why mulching is important and how to mulch and what to mulch with, because that too is important. That's not something that you should be taking lightly, and I'll explain to you why as we work through it. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, just to go over what mulching is really quick for the new gardener, if you have no idea what that means. Mulching is just simply the process of you taking something like the two common types of mulch are going to be straw and wood chips. Those are the two most common types, okay? And all you're doing is taking those things and you're covering your garden beds with mulch so that you can, number one, keep weed pressure down. If you layer it thick enough, 3 inches, 6 inches of mulch can help keep that weed pressure down, so you don't have weeds popping up all over the place. You still may have some, you're not going to get around. You're not going to have a 100% weedless garden, most likely. Well, I haven't seen it anyway, where you don't have any weeds whatsoever, but it will definitely help keep the weeds down. And the next thing would be, it helps to keep the soil moist and hydrated. Okay, so like I already mentioned, there's two common types of materials that we use for mulch. That's going to be straw, and then there's going to be wood chips. So with wood chips, the pros of using wood chips is that they're super easy to find, and typically you can get them for free, right? You can just call up a landscaping company or a tree trimming service, and they'd be more than happy to give you their wood chips because they have to put them somewhere, right? So you can get your wood chips for next to nothing. Some people will charge you, like we have one place out here, they charge you like $100 for a truckload, but they only charge you $100 basically for the gas because they're on the other side of town, and if they're working on your side of town, then they'll drop them off for free. But if they have to deliver them just on a random delivery, then they'll charge you $100. But I feel like for a truckload of mulch, if that's the next best thing, to get it for free is to pay $100 for a truckload. That's the next best thing to getting them for free, because that's a lot of mulch. I tell you what, you go to Home Depot or Lowe's and try to buy a truckload of mulch and tell me how much it costs. It's gonna be a lot more than $100. The second thing is, just like everything else, is really good at holding in and locking in that moisture in the soil. Okay. The cons to using wood chips would be that if you use wood chips for mulch, you're going to do something to disturb the soil and make a hole. And when you make that hole, the wood chips are going to fall into the soil. The problem with that is that wood chips, once they get into the soil, on the surface of the soil, they're just fine. Beneath the soil, they can be just fine. But once they get mixed into the soil, they're going to start to tie up the nitrogen that's in the soil. So, because the nitrogen is going to be used in the composting process and breaking the wood chips down. So they're going to tie up a lot of nitrogen in your soil, which is going to starve your plants of that nitrogen. So those are the cons of having the wood chips. I'm pretty sure there are some other cons that people would tell you. Using a certain type of wood chips could be bad, or this or that. I maybe. All I know is that from my personal experience, we haven't had any issue with the type of wood chips we've been receiving. But the tying up the nitrogen is definitely something that you want to be aware of before you start adding wood chips to your garden. With that being said, to me, in my personal opinion, using wood chips in your garden would probably be, if that's all you got, that's all you have. So use it, but just be mindful of that, and maybe wood chips wouldn't or shouldn't be your first option to use, right? But like I said, if that's all that you have, then so be it, right? You just have to be mindful. Like me, we're using wood chips in our garden, in our growing spaces. I just know that once it's time to dig a hole, or when it's time to remove things or whatever, I know I'm gonna have to remove that stuff, and I'm gonna have to sift it out because I don't want it to go back into the ground. Another pro to wood chips is that they're gonna break down into your soil once you lay it down. Wherever you lay it at, they're gonna break down in your soil, and they're gonna provide nutrition to whatever you got growing. Right? It's gonna take a while. It's not gonna be a fast process, but over the years they'll break down, and that's just added nutrients for everything in the soil. The next thing that we're going to talk about is this stuff right here. This is straw, and this straw, it works just like the wood chips. The pros are the same. They layer it enough, you're going to suppress that weed pressure, so you're going to have fewer weeds popping up. I mean, your soil is going to retain moisture a whole lot better, so that's less watering throughout the growth season, and it's going to break down and feed your soil just like the wood chips will. Okay, so there's two caveats about straw. Number one is like the most important thing you want to be aware of. So number one is that depending on where you get your straw from, you have to ask them about the source of their straw, and if those sources are using any kind of herbicides in their, anywhere in their process on their straw. Because if they are, and you take that and spread that in your garden, then obviously you're going to kill everything in your garden because it's coated with herbicide. All right, and Grazon is the most popular herbicide by name that's generally sprayed on these things. I did a video on that. I'm going to put it up on the screen somewhere so that you guys can click on it and watch it. But we talked about Grazon and other herbicides in straw. The second thing to be aware of is that when you mulch with straw, it has a slick surface. If you do mulch with it, like it's probably not too big of a deal on a flat surface, but as you can see, we have a lot of slopes in our garden. So trying to mulch the garden and walk on it, I'd be slipping and sliding all over the place. So that's just a note, something to be aware of. If you're on a flat surface, you're probably going to be fine. But I end up using it on a lot of the slopes, and I learned the hard way. But the cool thing about straw is, despite it being really light and fluffy, it holds to wind pretty well. It holds to wind and water pretty well. Like when I put it down, I thought that the wind was going to move it all and blow it all away, and it didn't. It didn't even touch it. It stayed in one spot. Maybe a little bit here and there, but for the most part, wherever I mulched, that's where that straw stayed. So I did appreciate that. If you don't like the idea of either of those, of the straw or the wood chips, you can always use leaves, fallen leaves. You collect leaves in the fall. You can mulch your garden with that. The only thing that's going to happen with the leaves over time is that they're going to break down just like everything else, right? There's nothing wrong, nothing negative about using the leaves. Obviously, I wouldn't throw poison ivy out here because you got to handle the stuff. But anything poisonous, I'm staying away from. And you could also go to a big box store, and they actually sell like I forget what the name of it's called. I will put it on the screen so you can see it, but it's some kind of like sticky straw, something like that. Easy straw, that's what it's called. It's called Easy Straw. They come in little bags. Look, it's compressed in bags, just like you would find peat moss or pet bedding, something like that. And you can use that. That stuff is clean, weed free, insecticide free. Herbicide free, all that good stuff. So you can actually take that and use that in your garden. And that Easy Straw, just like a straw bale, is going to cover your coverage area. Is going to be pretty decent. It's going to come in a small square, but you can cover a lot of your garden, a lot of your beds with just like that one bag of straw. All right, guys. So now I'm gonna show you real quick how I typically mulch like my pathways. I like to mulch the pathways too because once again it keeps the weed pressure down and it provides a nice aesthetic. So I guess that too is a bonus, a pro of just mulching in general. right? The aesthetic, it gives a nice, clean, even, uniform look to your garden, right? So I'm gonna remove the weeds from this little space right here between the potatoes first. Right now, you probably don't have to do this if you're gonna be doing it the way that I do it. Like if you're laying down like a weed barrier, some kind of weed cloth or something, you probably don't have to do it, but it definitely won't hurt to do it. All right, so now I got the pathway, clear. I'm gonna just come through with some cardboard, just like this. Now I know a lot of people say, oh, they don't want to use cardboard with ink on it and so on and so forth, which you don't have to. That's 100% your preference. I don't mind it because it's difficult to find cardboard without ink. But if you absolutely don't want it, a lot of times this cardboard will have, you can just reach in there if you really want to get it off and just take that piece of cardboard that's printed on, rip it right off, and you're good to go. I'm not going through all that. I'm gonna put this down right here, and I know the studies and the science behind it and the stuff that's coming out, but according to all these studies, sometimes you're lucky that you can even breathe and still live. They're trying to say everything is bad now. So, but yeah, this is just one method that we use to mulch. Like I said, the other thing that we use would be the wood chips. And here I go again, putting this stuff on a hill. Just to give you guys an idea, right here, this is where we used the wood chips last year. Now keep in mind, like, I just stuck my hand through a big old spider web. So keep in mind, y'all, like I did this last year with the wood chips. This right here is cheap Dollar Tree weed fabric. I knew what I was getting myself into when I got it, right? I just wanted to grab it, see if it would work. And it did. Look at that. I mean, for the most part, it held up. It was $1. It was $1. It did what it was supposed to do. But look at this area in terms of the weed pressure, right? There's very little weed pressure here. I got some right there. Got one beside the bed, but look at there. The weed fabric, the wood chips were washed away. Wood chips were washed away. Weed fabric, weeds came through. Got a little bit right there. This stuff here, and I'm gonna explain to you why I have more weeds over here than we have over here. It has nothing to do with the wood chips. And then, like, you look through here, you can see the weed pressure is around the edges, right? It's around the edges, but it's very little in the middle. Oh, look at how I told you I rhyme. Like in every video, I bust a rhyme. Anyway, I digress. So the reason why the weed pressure over here is less than this weed pressure here and here is simply because over here, look, it's just straight dirt. I didn't put down any cardboard under this mulch. I sifted the soil out of these beds, and as I got the wood chips out, I didn't feel like getting up and going to dump it every time I got some wood chips. So I just laid it out right here in the aisles. So right here, all through here, there's no cardboard beneath it. But over here, as you can see right there, there's cardboard, there's weed fabric, there's cardboard, there's weed fabric, all that down there. That's why the weed pressure over here is a lot less than the weed pressure in the rows. And I think in order to get this weed pressure down, I would just have to lay a thick row. Because look at how, another layer, because look at how thin that is. So when I come through, and we got some butternut some butter crunch lettuce growing in right there. So if I came in with the thicker layer of mulch, this weed pressure would die back significantly. All right, you guys, so that's it. That's how we mulch. That's the importance of mulching. That's how you mulch, the materials you can use, the whole shebang. that is going to save me so much time and energy in terms of weeding, because even in your pathways, you still want those to be somewhat neat and weed free, because if not, that's just more weeds you got to get out the ground, just like I had to do with my little weed scraper tool thingy, right? So I don't want to have to do that with all of our wide pathways. So, and like I said, it's going to add a nice little aesthetic to the garden, as well as people, as you walk around and you start seeing, you see more brown, you see more mulch and less dirt, less sand, right? So mulching is super important for your garden. The rest of the garden, I'm going to use this straw. I have plenty of it to go around. We're going to use this straw to knock down some of the weed pressure in the containers and the beds, and also use it for water retention in the soil, so that I don't have to water as much as I had to last year, because that was a pain. All right. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys found this video informative. Just a quick thing to teach you guys if you're new to mulching, just so you can understand the importance of mulching, and give you an idea of how to mulch in your garden. So with that being said, guys, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video. Peace out.